Alright, what is going on, everybody? How is everybody doing today? We are here today with another 2021 NBA mock draft, and today it's going to be a special one. We are joined by Krispyflakes. What up, Crispy?
How's it going, man? Actually, I gotta say, I gotta do the intro. I gotta say, yo, what's going on, guys? Krispyflakes here. Because if I say anything else, I'll be off for the entire video.
Yeah, so what we're going to be doing today is a 2021 mock draft, but we are going to be alternating in picks. So Crispy's going to get the first overall pick. He's going to be able to take his boy out of Oklahoma State. I'll be going 2, he'll be going 3, etc.
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually not so sold on Cade Cunningham. I've been kind of hearing some good things about Jaylen. No, we're gonna take Cade. Definitely taking Cade with the first pick in the draft. The last time the Pistons had the number 1 pick, we got Bob Lanier. That was like centuries ago, but the Pistons have not been very smart with drafting in the past few seasons. So I think in this case, we take the guy that's best available, and then people can't laugh at us, 5 years from now.
Yeah, so we're going to be doing this on TradeNBA.com. I'll leave a link to this in the description where you can kind of create your own mock drafts. And yeah, it's going to be kind of cool today, not doing a mock draft by yourself and you know who's going to be available at a certain pick. Like, I don't know what Chrissy's going to do potentially when it gets interesting after the 5th overall pick. So it might kind of change up our draft board. So
yeah, I'm pretty good with like the first 14, lottery. I'm good with after that. I think there's a lot of talent out there that I just like a lot of good fits too. So it's gonna be crazy seeing how this actually all kind of unfolds.
Yeah, definitely.
First pick in the 2021 NBA Krispyflakes 6 Rings of Steel mock draft, we select Cade Cunningham out of Oklahoma State.
Yeah,
I'm excited.
Yeah, that's obviously the obvious pick. Are you excited to see him just in general, or are you kind of excited about the Killian Hayes fit too? How do you feel about that fit?
I mean, honestly, I respect Jalen Green, and I think he's going to be a fantastic player, and I think he would actually be a better fit at the shooting guard spot, but I think Cade in this case is the guy you go with, so... I mean, Killian has to work on his three-point shot and his off-ball abilities, so I think, the idea with Cade and Killian defensively is exciting. Offensively, have to, kind of... remains to be seen, but I think it could work, so we'll kind of see.
Yeah, it's exciting. As long as you got playmakers that can shoot the ball, it'll work out. So I was always thinking that Mobley was going to go 2 to the Rockets, but I'm actually kind of changing my opinion on that, and I think they're going to take Jalen Green, so that's who I'm going to have the Rockets select with number 2. My reasoning that is because I think Houston might look at what Minnesota did last year, and they took that wing that had star potential in Anthony Edwards, and it worked out pretty well for them, and they didn't really envision a James Wiseman there, and I think Evan Mobley's a better player than James Wiseman, but I think Houston at this point and where their timeline is, they need that boom player. They need that guy that could be a next superstar in this league, and I think Jalen Green has that much potential, or has that potential over Evan Mobley, so I'm going to have Green going 2 to the Rockets.
So do you think Jalen probably runs the 3 spot, or do they try a little Kevin Porter at point guard? Because I agree, Jalen Green is the guy in this case, but just I know the guy like Deshaun Tate, he's 6'4", playing power forward, I believe, so... It definitely is going to be a bit of a small ball lineup, and I don't know if they really have that true point guard outside of John Wall, but I agree, you got to go with Green in this case.
Yeah, no, I agree,
sure.
And I think they're going to try to run some KPJ at the 1. I know he wants to play point guard, and I think Green can play the 2 or the 3. He's probably one of the more athletic players in this draft. He's one of the more gifted scorers. Can score at all 3 levels, so I think they just got to take him, plug him in there, and he'll probably be a top 3 scoring option for them next year. So is this who you envisioned will be there at 3 for the Cavs, or did you think it would be maybe Green?
When I was first saw the draft order, I was thinking Evan Mobley with Christian would be kind of cool, but I agree, over the past few weeks my mind's kind of changed. I'm just no, Green's probably the guy to go, but no, it's the number 1, number 2. I feel like Cade and Green, you can't go wrong either way. Mobley and Suggs are both talented, and I think probably I'm going to guess they're going to go 3 and 4. We'll see, but no, I think it's definitely how it should be so far.
Okay,
for sure.
Who do you got the Cavs taking at 3?
Number 3, so I know they've been talking about trading Colin Sexton. Heard actually to the Knicks was the latest one I've been hearing about. But no, I think in this case you go with Evan Mobley. I mean, Jalen Suggs, Darius Garland just doesn't make a ton of sense in my mind. So I think Evan Mobley's the guy. And I don't know what happens with Jared Allen at that point. Maybe you bring him back and run Evan Mobley at the 4. Trade Kevin Love away. But no, definitely the most talented big guy here in the draft.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a weird fit because I think Houston's in the same scenario. Will a Wood and Mobley fit work? And then Cleveland will have that same question next. Then will a Mobley-Allen frontcourt work? And I think there'd be plenty of teams out there that would actually give the Cavs a first-round pick and a potential sign and trade for Allen. That's a restricted free agent. And then if they want to give the center range just to Evan Mobley for the future. But I think, honestly, Cleveland, they haven't been getting too lucky in the previous lotteries in 2018 and 2019, I believe, and even maybe 2020. But this year, they still stayed lucky, or they got lucky, and they're able to take Mobley, which I think is a top player in the draft. And last year, he would have been a top 2 pick as well. So I think they can.
Yeah, he'll be a beast.
Yeah.
He'll be a beast.
All right, so at 4 for me, it's pretty much standard. I think it's going to be Jalen Suggs. I think that him and Fred VanVleet can coexist in that backcourt. I'm pretty sure that they're not going to be bringing back Kyle Lowry. They're going to go in a different direction with that team, and I'm going to have them take Jalen Suggs, a guy that can kind of play off ball but really needs the ball in his hands. But I think Fred VanVleet, that's what he does great, is Fred VanVleet can play a little bit off ball. He could be a 1, he could be a 2. I think same with Suggs, and Suggs has that size, that frame, where he could be a 2 and guard kind of NBA 2s and 3s right away, and that's what Nick Nurse and Toronto wants. And I think just having Suggs and Anunoby on the wing, or just really having that young core of Suggs and Anunoby for the future would be really nice, because it's like them two are in their same timeline, and then you have Boucher, Siakam, and VanVleet that kind of in their upper 20s. So we'll see if there's, like, I know there's been some Pascal rumors, like we'll see if they maybe go that route to put Pascal on the block, but I think here they're going to go Jalen Suggs.
I agree. Okay, so we got Orlando Magic next.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so now I feel like we kind of get to the point where, okay, like the top 4 guys, those are pretty much set. So the Magic are interesting because they pretty much just went all into the rebuild by, like, essentially giving away Vucevic and Evan Fournier and all those guys last season. Mm-hmm. So I do think they need a guy that could potentially end up being the best forward in this draft. I think that's Jonathan Kuminga. So, yeah, play up a little bit of power forward. I think he'd probably play some small forward too. But, yeah, and that's pretty much saying, like, I think next season he'll be able to go to the team, get his shots up and stuff. And I think playing with, guys like Jonathan Isaac's going to be good for him. So, yeah, and plus they don't really need any guards or anything like that. I already have in Cole Anthony and Markelle Fultz and all those guys. So I feel like Kuminga's the selection here.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Kuminga too, and I think in maybe last year's draft he would have been potentially a top 3 pick. And just watching him, because he's kind of in the similar frame. He's definitely a little bit shorter than Jonathan Isaac, but he kind of has a similar style of play and kind of athleticism that I'm very excited to see if Kuminga ends up in Orlando, to watch Kuminga and Isaac play. I think it'll be very entertaining. And like you said, I don't think they should really look at guard there at 5, unless maybe Suggs magically falls to them at 5, because they got Cole, RJ, and Fultz. So I do agree with you there. So we're on here at 6 with the Thunder, and this is, I guess, where the top 5, these are the consensus top 5 players that we mentioned, but I think there's one player that's really closer to this tier than he is to the following tier, and that's Scottie Barnes out of Florida State. I think he's going to get a lot of comparisons to Patrick Williams, who went number 4 to the Bulls last year, really because they played similar roles at Florida State the previous season. But Barnes can defend, he could facilitate. He really isn't a great shooter yet, but he does have good form at Florida State, and hopefully the Thunder would kind of see, because there's been comparisons him to Ben Simmons, because their shooting has been not great, or at least it was coming out of LSU for Simmons and Barnes out of Florida State. But I know, just kind of listening to some podcasts, that a lot of people in the NBA are a fan of Barnes' shot enough where the form is good enough to maybe eclipse a 33 or 34% three-point shooter one day, which is definitely great if you look at a power forward. Because if you look at guys like Pascal Siakam or Draymond Green, they've excelled at that role to be able to pass, defend, and shoot at the 4. So does this, like, at 7, is this like an easy pick for you on the Warriors, or is it going to be kind of tough?
Just real quick here, going back to the OKC Thunder, I will say that if they do not use one of their picks on JT Thor, I'm going to be very upset, because Thor got a Thunder. It's like that's
of course,
meant to be right there. So.
Definitely.
But no, Scottie Barnes is the pick. You definitely don't go with the nickname pun using the 6th pick in the draft.
Yeah.
But I had Scottie Barnes as to OKC on my draft board also. So okay, cool. Definitely a good pick. All right. Alrighty, so next up for the Golden State Warriors at number 7. So this is the case where, the Warriors obviously are going to be contending next year, assuming everybody can stay healthy and everything. So you're not really looking for a starter in this case. There's one guy that I do think can help them right now. I think that he fits their offense and can play the backup point guard role, and that is going to be Davion Mitchell. It just seems like, I think he's also like 22, so he's kind of like one of those older rookies that I think can just kind of fit in right away and hopefully help the Warriors get some more W's next season.
Yeah, I agree. I think that is a great pick for the Warriors there. And like you said, kind of the more experienced players coming out of college can help these teams trying to win now. Like Matisse Thybulle, for example, in 2019, he was a little bit older, and he's been such a difference maker for the 76ers. And he's a good defender, he's a good shooter, he'd be great for them. So on the board here at 8 for the Magic. So you already had them take Kuminga. Now, it's tough because like the Magic, I'm sure you can agree, like, they got 2 young centers in Carter Jr. and Bamba, but none of them are really the long-term guys. They got some wings now with Kuminga that we drafted, Isaac and Okiki. They have the guards in Anthony Fultz and Hampton. It's really, I feel like they should just, I don't know. I really don't know who they're going to end up going here because they could go a wing in Keon Johnson. They could go Jalen Johnson. They could go Franz Wagner. Maybe they like Book Knight or Moses Moody. This is a tough pick. This is a tough pick for me here. I'm going to have them go, oh man, this is tough.
It is a tough one. Yeah, I definitely struggled with them too writing them down on my end. I was just kind of like,
Yeah.
I mean, it might be a case where it's like, yeah, like you draft the talent and just kind of see, if it works with them.
Definitely, and I've been a big advocate of Orlando trying their best to trade 5 and 8 to go up to 3 with the Cavs and Jalen Green is there, or even Mobley. I would do that, but I'm gonna have them select. This is tough. It's between Keon Johnson, Franz Wagner, and Moses Moody for me, and I'm gonna have them go Franz Wagner actually because this is a little bit more of an experienced player. He's a sophomore coming out of Michigan, and I think he will be a top 9 pick. I just love his playmaking, and I think Mosley with the new head coach there and just kind of what that team, it's so young, and just having, I feel like, another playmaker that can come off the bench or even start at the 3, which he definitely could do next year, and just really facilitating to their young players. I think they're going to look for somebody like that. Like, he's never, I think, going to be a star in this league, but he's going to be somebody that's going to be a great complementary piece to everybody else around him. So Franz Wagner, I haven't really mocked that a lot. It's really been mainly either Keon Johnson or Moses Moody, but I think Wagner, he's been doing well kind of with his pre-draft interviews and the combine and stuff, so I think he's going to end up going high on the draft, and I'm going to have, like, he could be a Golden State Warriors pick, but I'm going to have him go to the Magic at pick 8.
Yeah, I watched him a lot at Michigan, and yeah, exactly. I mean, he's just a guy that can play so many different roles for that team, too. So, in the end of the day, just being able to play defense, play make, kind of shoot. I mean, he's kind of hit or miss at times, but no, they'll definitely find a spot for him on the roster.
Yeah.
Okay, so next up we have the Sacramento Kings. This one's interesting because I feel like I don't really know what's going on with their front court. I've been hearing a lot of rumors about Marvin Bagley being traded away and not really want to play there. Rashawn Holmes might be gone. I don't really know what type of contract he's going to warrant, but I think it's a case where maybe you go for a forward, and I'm going to go with a guy here that I think there's a lot of potential with them, which, it's going to be kind of a lottery sort of thing for the Kings as regards of maybe he could be a bust, but he could also be really, really good and, a pick that people later on kind of say, hey, we should have took him sooner. So I'm going to go ahead and say Jalen Johnson. I believe he's out of Duke. I think it says he's listed as small forward, but I think he can play a little 4 spot out there too.
Yeah, definitely.
So hopefully, maybe he'll be the guy that can replace Marvin Bagley and give him some solid minutes at the 4 or 3 spot.
Yeah, I agree, and I think Johnson is one of those guys, kind of like Jalen Green. He has a lot of boom potential. Like, he could not pan out in the NBA, but I think he just has that type of scoring because he was a good shooter at Duke. He was pretty solid at getting to the rim. I think he's got to kind of work on that a little bit, like another Duke forward was coming out of them in 2017 with Jason Tatum. And I'm a big fan of Jalen Johnson. I love that pick for Sacramento. And I agree with you. I think he could be a guy that could maybe turn that franchise around or help Fox turn that franchise around. So we're on the board with 10. And the Pelicans are a team that have underwhelmed the last 2 years. They were in the play-in tournament 2 years ago with the bubble. Didn't make the playoffs with Jrue Holiday. Then they kind of turned over their roster a little bit last year. I think we also thought they would still compete or just maybe be in the play-in tournament. They disappointed. So I'm going to have them go, it's tough. I think I like a couple guys for them, and I think I envision them getting some scoring, and I think we're gonna look at what the Suns did with Cam Johnson in 2019, where they got Cam Johnson, who's been just such a difference maker for them here in the playoffs, and just somebody that they know can shoot at an elite level coming off the bench, and really just spacing the floor for their star players is just immense value. Or even Desmond Bane last year for the Grizzlies. So I think we're going to see Corey Kispert go in the lottery, and I'm going to have him go here to the Pelicans at 10. Really just somebody that can be out there and provide Zion Williamson, their franchise player, some floor spacing.
There we go. Yeah. No, he's definitely one of the top 3-point shooters in this draft class, no doubt. So he's going to have a lot of open opportunities with the Zion taking it to the basket and stuff.
Definitely.
Alrighty, so next we have the Charlotte Hornets, I believe, at number 11. Okay, so now we get to the point, I think, where we have a ton of really good, 2 guards out there from Moses, Book Knight, Keon. So I don't know, the Charlotte Hornets are kind of interesting because I feel like they need a center, but I don't really think there's a center in this case where I want to reach that far down to get, or I guess reach this far up to get. And I feel like they can fix that via free agency. You have to be, Holmes or, maybe even go for Drummond, somebody like that. Yeah. So in this case, Devontae Graham's contract is up. He was on a fantastic contract. It was like a 2-year, $3 million deal or something like that. Yeah. So I don't really know if he's going to be returning to Charlotte or not. So I feel like at that point, maybe you look toward some sort of guard and maybe, LaMelo's future, backcourt mate. So I'm gonna go with a scoring guard right here. I'm gonna say Moses Moody.
I like that
Seems
pick
kind
a
of
lot.
interesting. Yeah, 6'6" player, has some good height. I mean that there's so much height between that backcourt between him and LaMelo, so definitely could be like the future two for that team.
Yeah, I agree. I love Moses Moody, and I think getting him at 11 would be great for them. Like you were saying, for center, definitely a huge need for them. I'd love to see them actually go after Miles Turner. I feel like I could say that about every team, but Miles Turner would be fun on that team. And yeah, I'm a big fan of Moses Moody in this class, and I think he would be great for LaMelo in the future. And there's a lot of guards. Like, you had a great choice between him or Keon Johnson or Book Knight, and they'd all be good picks there. And I'm a fan of Moody. Because I was gonna have him possibly go to San Antonio, so he's still my pick.
Right.
So let's see here. San Antonio, I know they've been in some trade rumors with DeJounte Murray and Derek White. I think they're a team that, well, they're going to most likely lose to DeRozan. And they kind of need bigs. I mean, Pirtle, I don't think is the long-term answer there at the 5, but they're really not a 5 to take here. I mean, there's Alperen Sengun, who I do like. It's pretty much between Sengun for the Spurs or possibly Keon Johnson. And I think I'm going to have them go Alperen Sengun. Possibly the highest I've ranked or mocked him before. But I kind of like the way that this is going for them to maybe go with that center that can space the floor, something that they haven't had in a while. Well, Marcus Aldridge was obviously playing a little bit of center, but somebody that could be in your long-term plan. So I'm going to have Alperen Sengun, who is a great shooter over at Turkey. Will definitely need to work on his defensive footwork in the NBA. But under Pop, he should be able to work with that. And then maybe they can find their 4 next to him in free agency, or maybe they just like Keldon Johnson at that role, because the Spurs are weird. Like, they have Murray at the 1, they'll have Keldon Johnson, they drafted Vassell, they still have Derek White at the moment, and Monty Walker. I think they need to go somewhere in that front court. And I'm a fan of Sengun, so I think, and maybe it's just a cliche of the Spurs drafting foreign players, and I'm going in that route. So yeah, I'm doing that.
I honestly don't know too much about his game. I guess, what do you say? Is he like a Sabonis type, like that type of player, where maybe a little bit you can put the ball in the court a little bit, and like you said, maybe shoot a little bit?
Yeah, he's I guess his one of the main pros is his shooting ability, and yeah, he can dribble the ball a little bit. I think he would definitely just, I don't know, I would kind of compare him a little bit to Kristaps, but not as good of a defender coming out of Turkey. But yeah, I would say that. I haven't watched like so much of his game, but as many games as I can find on YouTube, that's what I've been able to see.
Right, for sure. Okay, next up we have the Indiana Pacers. So the Pacers recently, they were talking about trading for Ben Simmons. They offered up Malcolm Brogdon, I believe, first-round pick. So I think they're definitely looking for some sort of point guard here. The thing about the Pacers is that I honestly think they're a lot better than what their record showed last season due to injuries, having T.J. Warren and I think Miles Turner being injured and stuff. Yeah. So I'm going to go for a little bit of a project right here, a taller point guard, because obviously they might want that with Ben Simmons. I'm going to go with Josh Giddey. Good all-around player, like I said, could take a few years, but kind of the same light as Jalen Johnson, where this guy could end up being an absolute beast, or, he could be maybe like Michael Carter-Williams. Yeah. So yeah, definitely. Plus somebody that can play like Malcolm Brogdon and all those guys. And I'm not even sure if T.J. McConnell's coming back to the team. I think he's a unrestricted free agent too, so they might be actually looking for a backup point guard.
Yeah, I love that pick. I've been mocking Josh Giddey to the Pacers in like all my mocks because like you said, they can potentially trade Malcolm Brogdon. It looks like they want to, and I feel like he just fits as that long-term answer at the 1. So we're on here to the final pick of the lottery. It's the Warriors' second pick here in the first round, and with Crispy taking Davion Mitchell at 7. They really don't need to take another point guard possibly there. And I think the Warriors, they could benefit from another big, and we might see them do that in the trade market if they want to maybe upgrade from Kevon Looney, obviously to add on with James Wiseman there. But I think they're a team that really wants to go defense and just improve on that. And I love Keon Johnson here at 14. I think this is great value for them, for him to fall all the way to 14. A great defender at Tennessee. Definitely needs to work on his shot a little bit, but I think the Warriors, who could use some more defenders coming off that bench, because that bench, wasn't the best on defense last year. I mean, like Toscano Anderson could hold his own, and some of the other guys out there, but I think it can't hurt by taking another wing that could defend. So I'm going to have them select Keon Johnson.
And I get if there's anybody out there to teach you how to shoot a basketball better, it would be Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. Yeah, so yeah, fantastic 100%. Pick at 14.
Definitely. All right. So for a second here, I just want to stop my camera recording because it overheats at 20 minutes. So I just got restarted.
What kind of camera do you have, by the way?
I have a Canon G7X. It's been pretty good to me.
That's what I got too.
Yeah. I was really hoping to get. I mean, I got that the Elgato Cam Link, if you know what that is.
Yep.
And unfortunately, it just wasn't compatible at all with the Canon G7X.
Is it the Mark II or Mark I?
I believe it's the Mark II. I could be
Yeah,
wrong.
'cause I got the Mark III and it does work with that, but
Oh,
not
that's
very
nice.
well. I don't even use it for that though. I mean, it's like it's still pretty choppy, so I just
is
use my
it?
webcam.
Gotcha,
Yeah.
gotcha. Yeah, for like streaming
Yep.
purposes, like I have like my Logitech I got like 4 years ago. I gotta probably.
Yep.
Definitely. Okay. So yeah, I guess for this one we don't have to like we can still go with the pace we were going, but we can maybe speed up a little bit because we got 16 more picks. And I guess these picks aren't as, I guess, important. Or like obviously they're important, but like you know what I mean.
Yeah, well, yeah, just not as much analysis needs to be done, I guess.
All right. So whenever you're ready to talk about 15.
Okay, so for number 15, we got the Washington Wizards. To be honest, I don't think Russell Westbrook is the long-term solution at the point guard spot for them. So I'm going to go with somebody they can kind of start, orchestrating into the offense. I believe he was around like a 20-point per game score, 8 assist type of guy. Pretty solid rebounder out of Auburn. We got Sharif Cooper.
Yeah, I agree. I think they got to go long-term answer there at the backup one. Like, it really can't be Ish Smith and Garrison Matthews anymore. Like, they got to find that upgrade. Mm-hmm. All right, so we're on the board here at 16 with the Thunder. They have 3 first-round picks. Yeah, 3 first-round picks. So this is 2 out of 3. This is the one from the Kemba Walker trade. And they're a team that also could maybe go back up point guard if they want to see what they would want to do long-term with Taylor Maladon. And obviously, they have Shea there. That could be the 1 or the 2. I do like the potential fit of James Bouknight there for shooting. So I'm going to have them select Bouknight there at 16. I think he's somebody that has a crazy range. Like, he can go as high as like 10 or 11, but also could drop close to the 20s. So Bouknight, give them some shooting. Maybe a nice counterpart or a partner in the backcourt to Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. And that's who I'm going to have the Thunder take.
All right, for 17, we got the Memphis Grizzlies, and this is the team that I absolutely love. I feel like their roster, they did such a good job of just building it up and everything. Mm-hmm. As much as I like Jonas Valanciunas, I mean, I could see them maybe eventually moving on from him. He's been really solid for them overall, but I think it's never a bad idea to have a backup guy going forward. So I'm going to go with one of the centers. Now, there's a lot of centers in college that are just like guys that I'm very unsure about, where I'm just like, they could be a good scorer, rebounder, defensive type of guy. So I'm going to go with Kai Jones out of Texas, I believe.
Like that.
It just seems like somebody that would kind of fit in with the squad and everything. So
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And I think he's a little bit more ahead than like the other options like Usman Garuba or Isaiah Jackson. Like they're pretty raw as it is. So I like that for the Thunder. So or excuse me, not for the Thunder, for the Grizzlies. So I'm on the Thunder pick now, and I think I'm going to have them go a big as well. And some team, like, for you took Kai Jones, a little bit more of an experienced player for a team that wants to win right now. But for the Thunder, they're a team that is perfectly cool with projects. And I'm going to have them select Isaiah Jackson out of Kentucky, somebody that grew like crazily over the last few years. He has incredible length, incredible wingspan, and he can kind of be compared to Mitchell Robinson, but also with the potential to shoot the ball when he comes to the league, and that could possibly happen at the Thunder or with the Thunder. And they really don't have that long-term 5 because they traded away Moses Brown. Obviously, they don't have Al Horford anymore, and they have Baisley and Poku, but they could be more as 4s. So I think they can go Isaiah Jackson to possibly be that long-term 5.
All right. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Next up, we got your New York Knicks right here. And I'm thinking probably a point guard.
Yeah.
I like Derrick Rose and everything, but it's also time to kind of get the guy that's going to take over for him.
Definitely.
And a guy that I really like in this case is Jayden Springer out of Tennessee. Mm-hmm. Really solid scorer, just playmaker and everything. He's extremely athletic, can get to the basket. So definitely somebody that I think could be mentored very nicely by D Rose also. Yeah, assuming Derrick Rose is back with the team.
Yeah, I agree. I think they got to go point guard. D Rose or not, Emmanuel quickly really isn't a 1. He's going to be more of a 2 in this league. And also, they might look at, I'm really hoping for Lonzo Ball in free agency. So if they definitely don't get like Lonzo, or they're not going to maybe throw money at him, I like them definitely going to point guard. And I'm a fan of Springer, definitely. So on the board here, 20, speaking of point guards, I have the Atlanta Hawks either taking another point guard, and it's either going to be between Jared Butler or Trey Mann for me. Mann, kind of more of the offensive playmaker, a little bit more than Butler, but Butler's more of a defensive playmaker. So it's really what Atlanta wants at that backup point guard spot, because Chris Dunn really didn't work out. They signed Rondo. They traded him in his first season there. So I'm going to have them go Jared Butler, just somebody of a more defensive-minded. Actually, no, I think I'm changing it up and going, man, just kind of with the injury concerns, possibly Butler might drop his stock a little bit, and that's why maybe Atlanta would take Trey Mann over them. But yeah, he'd be a crafty scorer off the bench, provide some scoring in that second unit, and really leading that, second unit, like I mentioned, with Trae Young off the floor.
For sure. Okay, so we have the Knicks again at 21. So This pick right here, it kind of depends on what Nerlens Noel ends up doing, because if they bring him back, then I feel like you got the Noel, Mitchell Robinson type of thing going, for a while, which is really cool. But in this case, I am going to have them go with a center. This is a guy that is a fantastic, defensive player, but also he can also shoot a little bit. I guess he kind of teases the three-point shot. And we are going to go with Usman Garuba out of, I believe, Real Madrid is where he's from. I was actually just kind of watching about him earlier today, and they said this guy's got crazy potential, especially defensively. So I think working with, Nerlens and also Mitchell Robinson could be good for him.
Yeah, I agree. And even though he could be like a project player for them, I think that's something they can definitely use because, Nerlens Noel, I think I saw a tweet from Ian Bagley, who's a Knicks beat reporter, who was saying that the Mavericks and the Nets and a bunch of other teams are going to be interested in Nerlens Noel. So if the Knicks don't want to really pay a pretty penny, it's going to be looking like they're going to need a backup 5 next year.
Right.
So 22, I think the Lakers would love this board where they're at right now. I think there's 2 picks that they would just be drooling over, and that's Trey Murphy out of Virginia and Chris Duarte out of Oregon. And I'm going to have them go Chris Duarte just because he can provide that team a little bit more shooting. We don't know if they're going to do like a maybe Kuzma and KCP package this offseason, but just really having another shooter who you look at, maybe Desmond Bane out of TCU last year, somebody that went 30 but was such a difference maker for the Memphis Grizzlies because he's a knockdown shooter for these good teams to really kind of make them from maybe solid middle of the pack to just a good team. And I think the Lakers could use some more shooting around LeBron and AD, and I'm going to have them take Duarte at pick 22.
All right, next up we got the Houston Rockets. I believe this is a pick from the Portland Trailblazers. So in this case, what do they got for point guards available on your screen there? Still got Jared Butler still there, Nashad Highland. I've been hearing good things about him as of late. Don't know much about him, but I feel like either way you can't go wrong. Just because John Wall obviously is going to probably be gone sometime next season. Yeah. So let's just go with the best available point guard. I'm going to say Jared Butler.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and like I said before, kind of about Jared Butler, he's a good defender. And if they would have Jalen Green, I'm guessing they're going to want to trade away John Wall and then maybe KP Jr. at the 1, and then they got Butler at the backup 1, which would be, I think, pretty nice for them in the future. Yeah. So next up, we have the Rockets again. This pick is from the PJ Tucker deal. I was always a big fan of Zaire Williams to them at 24, but with Trey Murphy still on the board, I think this is a no-brainer pick for them. And just having that wing that can come off the bench and shoot and possibly just be a good 3-and-D guy for the future, because they should also look at Eric Gordon trades, so he'd be able to get or find some minutes at the 2. They're going to go Jalen Green at 1. You had them take Jared Butler, and they also, for me, are going to be selecting Trey Murphy, who could be a 3 and even more of a 4, just so they're kind of loading up on guards and wings in this draft who have some good potential in the league.
Yeah. Okay, next we got the Clippers. So, I don't really know what's going on with Kawhi Leonard. I do know that he's going to be out for like 9 months now with the ACL injury, so they are definitely going to need maybe a little additional depth at the forward spot. I don't know where he's on at the list. I was kind of hearing about Aaron Henry, but I don't know if that's a bit of a reach or not.
No, I actually like the Aaron Henry pick there.
Okay, yeah, out of Michigan State, I believe. So let's go with him, 6'6" player. They obviously have like Terrence Mann and guys like that were doing really well for them in the playoffs. But I just feel like it's a guy, especially this late in the draft. Somebody that can give him some minutes and everything. And if Kawhi comes back or whatever, then you just kind of make him a bit of a project too.
Definitely, and I think Henry will be a late first, early second round pick, so that could definitely be around where the Clippers are selecting. So we're on the board here with 26, and the Denver Nuggets are here. And I think they're a team that could look at a 2 because they kind of have their Jamal Murray and Monte Morris 1s, and they could play them together, but I think they would want to find that 2 after trading away Gary Harris, who wasn't great for them in that Aaron Gordon trade. But I think they could get Cam Thomas here at 26 to provide them some just spectacular shooting. Like I mentioned about Corey Kispert and just Chris Duarte before, how valuable it is for these good teams to get shooting in the draft. And Cam Thomas, one of the best shooters in this class, a top 5 shooter. It really doesn't do a lot else besides shoot the ball well, but that's what might the Nuggets only need, and that's just shooting, and I think they should take Cam Thomas at 26.
Okay, for 27, we have the Brooklyn Nets, and I definitely think they need some interior guys, so some sort of center. I personally have them taking De'Ron Sharpe out of North Carolina. He's a 6'11" player. I feel like he can be like your traditional interior DeAndre Jordan-esque player, so just somebody to give them a little bit of actual height, additional height and depth at that center spot.
Yeah, and with DeAndre Jordan just getting up there in age and just really isn't that great anymore, and they traded Jared Allen, they're gonna have to provide some competition there with Claxton and Jordan at the 5. So we're here with 28, and there's a couple picks that I like the Sixers to possibly go with. I'm a big fan of Miles McBride in the first round. I'm also a big fan of Joshua Primo in the first round, and even Zaire Williams is still here. But Williams could maybe fall a little bit in the draft. I'm not saying he's as... I actually like Jaden McDaniels more as a prospect, but I think he's a little bit similar, just kind of how raw they are, or they were coming out as high school prospects. So I'm going to have the Sixers take Miles McBride here, who could just be another scorer. Maybe I'm going to switch up what I'm going to say. I was going to have them go Miles McBride, but they have Maxey. We will see if they're going to move Ben Simmons. You know what? Yeah, I'm going to have them take McBride. They're possibly going to trade Simmons. They could use that scoring off the bench anyway. So, yeah, McBride out of West Virginia is going to be my selection.
Okay, so for my final pick here for the Phoenix Suns, obviously Dario Saric is down with an injury, and they needed additional depth at the center spot anyway. So still a lot of really solid centers left, but I think I'm going to go with the guy out of Western Kentucky, 18.12 rebound type of guy, Charles Bassey.
Yeah, I think they should get that backup center spot. Just try to get more competition because Jalen Smith wasn't good at all in his rookie season. So with the final pick of the first round, we have the Utah Jazz, a team that I think just needs to find a scorer off the bench to really just take the load off Conley and Bogdanovich and Mitchell when they're just getting some rest. So I think someone that could have good potential scoring for them is Zaire Williams. There's a chance that he could just not be great at all in his rookie season, and I think I'd rather see him go to a more team that's rebuilding, but I think there's just a chance that he could be good or just something for the Jazz right away that they could use, because I think that's just great value at 30. And even if he's a few years away, it's pick 30. Like, he could still be a good bench player in 2 years from now, and I'm sure they'll still be good as long as Mitchell and Gobert are there. So there is our first round mock draft. You can kind of see the picks on the screen now. Anything you kind of want to mention, Crispy? Anything maybe you regret? Anything you liked a lot? Any fit specifically?
I think it's 100% accurate. I think you guys should all go to Vegas and place your bets because this is it right here. This is the official 2021 NBA mock draft.
I agree. I think it's definitely going to happen as well. I'm a big fan of a lot of these top 5 fits. And yeah, the Thunder, they have 3 first-round picks. The Rockets got 2. It's going to be a fun draft. It definitely is, and I'm sure we're going to see some trades as well. But yeah, thank you for coming out, Crispy. I really appreciate doing the mock draft with you. This was a ton of fun.
Yeah, for sure, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so, if you guys enjoy these, just drop a thumbs up. Let me know down below what you guys think of our mock. And, yeah, that's going to be for me. Thank you all for watching. Love you guys. See you on the next one. Peace.
Peace out.